Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Vault Overseer Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, I am going to be doing a recap of our Fallout RPG Vault 67 campaign. So the first the first segment of my four-player characters, the first segment of their campaign has been to learn a little bit about Vault 67, which is my own creation. The vault is located in Oneonta, New York, so my home state, and and we really had a great time so far, just learning the mechanics of the game because 4 out of 5 of us I have never run the game system before, never played the game system before, so I'm kind of picking through, and as I'm doing this introductory adventure, I'm creating it, for the purpose of introducing new players to the system as well, and learning a lot of things along the way. I do have one experienced player with the Fallout RPG, and she has been a great help in pointing out a few things that I either misinterpreted or kind of missed and didn't focus on. So I am going to go into greater detail as to the adventure and how it's going, and then the things that I'm going to do in order to tweak the adventure to make it a little bit more smooth running. Um, so I will be shifting over views and going to that as well. But before I get to that, there's I wanted to switch here and talk about the materials that I'm using. So obviously I am using the core rulebook, and this is really all that you need. However, I have found that the Game Master screen is really, really useful, as well as the manual that goes along with the Game Master screen, um, which gives you a lot of things like your scavenging tables and things like that, in order to reincorporate, bring what the player characters discover, into their pockets basically and into their use. So it's almost like treasure tables, but it's scavenging tables, and you can modify exactly what they're finding and stuff, such, and make it make sense sometimes. So that's the one downside to random tables, is that sometimes it will give them items that don't necessarily make sense with the situation that they're in. So that's something I'm going to be tweaking when I make this adventure ready for convention play. And I'll go into a little bit more detail on that as well. So I'm going to switch views once again and bring you over to our. So this is our Roll20. Now, I have run into some issues with the Roll20, with running this game. And this game has a lot of dice rolling. And Roll20, even though the character sheet is fully compatible with the game system, um, it's clunky. All right, it's time consuming. And that's the one thing that I'm starting to think this is going to play out much differently in convention play. I think convention play, or in-person play, at the table where people are rolling their dice, I think it's going to be much faster in person. So that's my only downside to using this Roll20. But other than that, I mean, it's been pretty good at laying out the various things that the players are going to encounter during the adventure. And as you can see, I have their icons all set up here, and here are my players/player characters that are in the group. So we have Elias, who is a ghoul. He's the only ghoul in the group. Then we have Esme, May, and she is my experienced player, by the way, so she has been of great help. I just had a conversation with her about her icon because there was a weird glare, but as you know, you could probably see now, once I changed the frame to the Coke bottle that everyone else has, that it cleared up that issue, so it looks fine now. And then we have Charles, and Charles is Charles is and all of the characters just went up to second level too. So we're gonna we're gonna see how they've improved their characters for the first time. And then Gene. All right, so Gene Driver, and he has an interesting backstory. So it was kind of funny how he got integrated into the group. Now I am going to switch views here so that you can see where we went next. So, and then let me see that you're looking at the same thing. So here's the map. So here's the map of Vault 67, Oneonta, New York. I pulled obviously the vault layout from from the internet, and this is the vault. This is the Fallout 4 vault layout. So pulled this out here, and what I did for this particular adventure is that depending on what type of character the player characters were going to choose, would change their starting location. So all of the humans that were vault dwellers were starting in Area 1, and they had to basically escape their situation that they were in Area 1 here. The ghoul player started out here in number 3, also in a vault or a chamber, a cryo chamber, but he was in the process of trying to break out, and there was another feral ghoul that was in here too. So the players came in from one, they gained access to number 3 here. They picked up some items that they found on the floor. Some weapons of convenience, and had to engage with that ghoul. And it was a really exciting fight for them to take care of it. And then once they all departed and went into Area 2, it was here that they discovered that they could not get through this particular corridor. They had their first combat with rad roaches here. Then over in this location here, I had it set up where if someone was playing a Mr. Handy, which is the robot, then this is where their player character would begin, and the rest of the player characters would hopefully figure out how to activate it, and then once activated, that player will take over. So I really do like this differentiated starting point for the players. I think it worked really well, and I think that would work really well even in convention play. So then they started making their way through, primarily looking to rediscover their starting equipment, because none of them had their starting equipment. It was scattered throughout the place. So they were making their way through, and they fought some more rad roaches here. They got into 9 over here, and they encountered a security robot. Now this was a really good combat. It was, very, very well balanced for their abilities. There was an element of real danger here with this security robot, but they did manage to defeat it. Then they discovered more of what they were hoping to learn about some of their background and how they ended up in the situation that they were in. That was all from this computer terminal here. They picked up some much needed supplies, such as medical kits and ammunition as well. They they went into the office of the overseer and they surmised the password. And once again, this was May who actually came up with this. So she surmised what the password to the main console was based on a photograph and the information she pulled from the photograph. And so they put it in, first shot, boom, open. They continued making their way into the food area. Here, this is the cafeteria, and this is where they first encountered mole rats. Now, the after game review, one of the other players was like, "Hey, mole rats are usually attracted by electrical current, and so they would have probably been better off in the power plant area, which is something that I am going to incorporate. So make that change to the storyline. And then the rest of their passage, they went through these other areas, mostly just scavenging. And then once they got back out, they got back to this computer, put in the code, and were able to access the functions of the vault door. And then they made their way back out through here. All along the way, they were, they had several combats with, rad roaches mostly, one feral ghoul, a pair of mole rats. I would probably add a second feral ghoul in the general area. I have to change some of the timeline to kind of make that work, and I have to flesh out some of the backstory of the player characters for when I run this in a convention setting. The players are going to be using pre-gens, so it's going to be very different experience than what my home game players are going to had experienced. But anyway, it went really, really well. We had several, unfortunate breaks in our play time, so that was a little bit sporadic. But but now once we get past the holidays and everything, we will be back onto our weekly schedule with only a few breaks here and there due to holidays or whatever. But really looking forward to continuing this, and I will switch views once again. And you are looking at the same thing. So yeah, here is here's the adventure. I started writing it out and laying out the different, for use in convention play with 6 characters for the starting set. I'm going to modify that down to, they'll have 6 characters of choice, but it's really set up for 5 players, and I'll probably go with that as well. And then here is all the kind of background information of what was going on, where it is set, what the year is. I'm going to have to modify that as well because I want it to be closer to this time. So the players are going to start off in like 2047 rather than 2097. I'm not going to have that much of a delay between the time that they were put in cryo and the time that they actually end up escaping. So I'm going to change that, which I just did. So basically, that is where it is taking place. I didn't finish fleshing out all of the different other members of the staff and inhabitants. That will come more so when we start getting into the outside and everything. We didn't focus on this. We were just focusing on learning the game mechanics, as a group and just getting this thing. So there's a lot of tweaking that needs to be done. This is where I'm laying out, based on what kind of character class. Vault Dweller start in Area 1, Ghouls in Area 3, and Mr. Handy in 2D. So I have this out here and laid everything out. The rest I was just, I labeled the different areas and what was going to be in there, but as we were going through, I just got a few set areas that I wanted to have it pre-designed, and then the rest I was just improv throughout the rest of the way. So, gonna switch views here, and just gotta pause for a moment. Okay, sorry about that. So the next phase in their adventuring will be to start dealing with the settler's guide. So this takes place, obviously outside of the vault, and their primary purpose will now be to discover what the condition of the world is in, and then to start to create a place where they can now live on the outside and survive. So there's going to be a lot of additional content for them to engage with. There will be greater challenges than what they faced in the initial. When they encounter things in the wilderness, there's none of that sense of balancing or anything like that. They can run into a challenge that is far beyond their capability of dealing with, and so they're going to have to be very, very prepared to make accurate threat assessments as they are out there in the wilds, and to deal with those challenges, they will have to start to find their place in the in the post-apocalyptic world of Fallout, and make a place that will be self-sustaining and secure for their continued survival. So really looking forward to seeing how the tabletop RPG translates what you might have experienced in Fallout 4, which this is primarily built off of, and see how that works out. So far, it looks like the system works really well. They're kind of meshing together. So exact same concepts and everything, and the challenges seem to be roughly the same between the two as well. So yeah, just another really great system that has come out of Modiphius, and their pairing up with Bethesda is a great sign, and they're still continuing to create content for this, and with the TV series, through streaming. I think that it's just going to continue growing at least for the next couple of years, because the TV series was a hit, a big hit, actually. So one of the best things to watch on Amazon Prime. So here's looking forward to many more months of running Fallout RPG. I will be running this at conventions, so I will be tweaking out this starting adventure for specific use at conventions, and then we'll see where we go from there as far as what Modiphius continues to put out. They've already put out several guidebooks, for you to continue your experiences as a tabletop role-playing game. So looking forward to it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for joining. Any questions or comments, feel free to put those in there. If you hadn't subscribed, please consider subscribing, and you all have a great weekend. You take care. Thank you.